All right. So, good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on when you are in the world. I believe this is a global platform. I'm so excited to be here. Yeah, all protocols observed. Good morning to you, Deputy Minister Kekana. Thank you for a wonderful talk to kick us off this morning. As mentioned, my name is Kwena Mabotja, and first of all, I'd like to say a very happy Girls in ICT Day. I'm so excited to be here speaking to all you girl coders today. I work for a company called SAP. So usually when I'm in South Africa, I have to clarify that, right? Because most people think I work for the South African police, SAP. But actually, I work for SAP, which is one of the largest technology companies in the world, where we provide software to organizations of all kinds and sizes around managing their business processes in the most efficient and effective way, and then using the latest technology to derive meaningful insights to make decisions based on the information that's happening in the business. And there I look after a program called Purpose and Brand Experience. I'm the regional director working in the Europe, Middle East, and Africa region. And really what I focus on as part of my day-to-day job and passion and work is around driving purpose. Bringing our entire community along this journey of purpose, innovation with purpose, ensuring that, we are solving the greatest challenges of humanity as we go along and do business. And a big part of that, of course, is it's SDG number 5, which is gender equality. Very important to have more inclusivity and more inspired action and participation of women and girls within the tech space. So this is something I'm very passionate about. So very happy to be here right now. Today, I want to talk about with you, preparing you for now, right? As Deputy Minister mentioned, we are really in an unprecedented time where the coronavirus is really fundamentally shifting and changing our lives, both personally and professionally, and has really created profound change in terms of how we conduct our lives in society, and is bringing about challenges and complications, right? And amidst these challenges, as Deputy Minister mentioned, we will emerge into a new world which will require a new set of demands, a new set of requirements, and a new set of opportunities that present themselves. And Minister asked, are we ready, girls? Are we ready? Do you feel ready? And the conversation today is all around, how do we ready ourselves? How do we feel confident and spend this time in lockdown readying ourselves for these challenges that are about to come? So I'll talk a little bit about the crisis itself and the impact, just to contextualize the discussion. I think, as all the nations of the world are either coming out of lockdown or going into lockdown, or are in the middle of a lockdown, as we are kind of in our first month of lockdown, um, you know, um, obviously these are measures that are necessary in order to preserve human life and to halt the progression of the virus. But all of these of course come with some profound consequences regarding business and citizens and society. So looking at from a business perspective, I think one of the biggest challenges that businesses are facing is business continuity. So with these lockdowns, how do we continue as businesses to operate and to make money? And of course this requires a certain level of pivoting your business model, for example. A simple example for me is my favorite restaurant that I go to on date night every Friday. Date night is at home now, but typically I would go out to a restaurant, and right now that restaurant is closed. So of course they are facing lost revenues and could potentially shut down. So what is the impact of that in terms of lost revenues? And of course the other one I'll mention in terms of the business world is around remote working. So all of us are at home, we're dialing in from wherever we are, and there's also remote learning, right? So from a working perspective, it's about how do we connect and manage teams and make sure that we remain productive as businesses. And then from a learning perspective, it's also, there are 1.5 billion children that are sitting at home right now, homeschooling or not schooling at all. How do we ensure that there's continuity in education? And for me, the remote working is the funniest, right? Because, other people have children that come into the background. And for me, I'm with my parents who live on a farm, and sometimes I have chickens in the background making a noise and interrupting my meetings. So it's all about managing those factors. And then from a citizens and a human perspective, I think the main thing obviously is maintaining and ensuring that we have physical health. So ensuring that we are able to change our behaviors accordingly so that we don't transmit the viruses. And then, of course, looking at unemployment in a country where we already have such high levels. Business South Africa has predicted that per month we could stand to lose up to 150,000 jobs, which is quite daunting. So this is something that we really need to consider and think about in terms of how that relates for poverty and hunger for our broader society, where we also have quite a lot of inequalities in South Africa. And then, of course, there's the emotional impact, right? At the core of it, we are humans. Our mortality is kind of threatened. We are isolating. So some of us are actually sitting alone wherever we are. And this is a time of crisis where, as humans, we tend to rely on connectivity during these times. And now, where we are all physically distancing, what does that mean in our ability to connect with each other, but also in our ability to maintain a good psychological well being? With crises, there's great reports of depression and anxiety about. And I think, all of this is quite daunting and leading to uncertainty. I always want to show the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, because obviously this virus is impacting a myriad of social challenges, social and economic challenges. And, the Sustainable Development Goals provide such a great framework for us to think about, what is being impacted in society at the moment. And for me, even the top three SDGs, no poverty, zero hunger, good health, all of these are being fundamentally changed and impacted by the presence of COVID-19. And of course, this is leading to great uncertainty, but we've seen some responses so far, right? So it's not like we're standing still. The country is moving, business is moving, and we've seen these responding. So from a private sector perspective, I think what's interesting there is that whilst this virus is disrupting life as normal, we're seeing big business are stepping up and starting to prioritize relief efforts by channeling their resources. So I love the example of SAB, because SAB, not SAP, SAB, because everyone complains about the alcohol restrictions, but SAB is actually now pivoting and taking the lead and saying, well, hold on, let us convert our production line and use that to make sanitizers and donate those. What I also love what they're doing is taking beer crates and recycling them to make face masks for frontline workers. And then you have other companies like Naspers and SAP that are actually saying, okay, hold on, we need some financial input into this. And both organizations, of course, adding some financial stimulus to support relief efforts. And then, of course, we have our wealthy individuals like Mr. Motsepe. They're also coming on board and making massive contributions of billion, towards relief efforts. And then I think what's also inspiring is the reaction from our government, the response from our government in terms of, steering the entire ship and taking the lead, and really being proactive about, driving us in a situation where we can mitigate the spread of coronavirus. And, the other day, our president announced a stimulus package of 500 billion rand set to mitigate, some of the social and economic impacts. So basically, what we're seeing here, business is stepping up, government is stepping up, steering the ship and taking the lead. But with such a big momentous task, we all of us, every single one of us, have a specific role that we can play in terms of mitigating or contributing towards relief efforts of COVID-19. And of course, it's seeming very dark right now, and there's kind of a tendency to become negative or despondent within all of these news in this uncertain and I would say even crazy time, but we know that with every cloud comes a silver lining, right? And I think one of the challenges that we need to give for ourselves is to seek the silver lining and to understand what that means. And one of the greatest silver linings that I'm seeing out of this crisis is the opportunity for innovation. Now more than ever, we actually have an opportunity to come together, to bring together our thoughts, to shift our perspectives and narratives, and think about how we can make a meaningful contribution from where we stand in terms of solving this crisis and applying our innovation, our skills towards innovation with purpose, but innovation that's solving societal challenges and also leading us to move forward within the coronavirus. And that's really the challenge that I give all of you as girls, as women, as young people, is to think about how can we innovate from where we lead in terms of resolving the crisis. I really want to mention the role of technology. And Deputy Deputy Minister Gagana pointed towards this in terms of where we stand within the fourth industrial revolution, as a country, as a world, and how these new technologies are actually now more than ever, in fact, the first time in history where we're seeing such a big role of technology in terms of, you know, solving for a global pandemic. So we're seeing technologies such as artificial intelligence, robotics, blockchain, Internet of Things, etc., and also the role of big data coming into play and playing an increasing role in terms of preventing the virus, creating awareness, but also coming up with specific solutions that address the key challenges that society faces. So I just want to highlight a couple of examples here, for example. So you're seeing there Sophia the robot. She was actually featured on one of our SAP platforms the other day, and she spoke about how robotics can actually help humans during such times of crisis. So, for example, you know, where we are forced to stay home to avoid exposure, you know, we can send Sophia out to the supermarket. She's immune to coronavirus, and so are other robots. So we send Sophia, she picks up groceries, comes back to us. Another application that's very interesting for artificial intelligence is the ability to actually become more predictive in terms of where we're seeing the virus potentially spreading. So this allows us to then become proactive in terms of managing the virus as opposed to reactive, where we then have to treat people. And of course, a big problem is fake news, right? Misinformation of society. Artificial intelligence and applications alike are being used to detect fake news. And then another example that I'll mention is the presence of drones and the role of drones in this COVID-19 world, where, for example, in Ghana, they're using drones to deliver medication, but also to send test kits for coronavirus into the rural areas where there's very limited access of roads. And then, of course, there's Zoom, where we all are today, the place where most of us start to congregate, right? And the increasing importance of Zoom in terms of leading to productivity of humans, collaboration, connectivity. Oh, and by the way, the CEO of Zoom has made about $4 billion in the space of 3 months, right? So we also need to start thinking about how we can become the next, you know, Eric Yuans in terms of, you know, how we leverage this technology. So I think a great opportunity and something that we all need to challenge ourselves with as we are sitting in lockdown, as we are staying put at home, as we are thinking about this situation is the intersection of innovation to solve the societal challenges that we see that are arising out of coronavirus now and in the future. And then how can we apply technology to further cement that innovation, but also to create that innovation at a place where we can actually scale it and then use it to create meaningful businesses, right? And this is the challenge for young people. This is the challenge for you girls online, you know, as young people, as young females. You guys are the future, right? You're the future leaders, you're the future citizens of this new world, but you're also digital natives. So you grew up with technology, you know technology, and you can learn it quickly and apply it in very interesting and creative ways. And this is where I see a call to action for you as young people to step up, right? So we saw big businesses stepping up, the government is stepping up. Now, how do we step up from where we sit, from where we lead as young women, as girls, and how do we bring about our creativity, our understanding of technology, and combine those two things to solve for COVID-19 and make ourselves relevant and productive in the world now as well as post COVID-19. So with that, right, I'd like to say, well, you know, the hashtags that are trending at the moment is hashtag stay home. So we're all staying home, and then hashtag stay safe, right? So we're all staying safe. But I'd like to introduce 3 hashtags that we can also get trending, right? As we are sitting, as we're pondering, as we're ideating, that we need to keep top of mind and get trending, right? So the first hashtag is to hashtag stay innovative, right? So stay innovative, continue to innovate. Hashtag stay skilled, right? So make sure that you have the right skills, relevant skills to be a productive member of society, to be able to actually do the innovation that is required to mitigate COVID, and hashtag stay connected, right? So a couple of examples for stay innovative. I know that we tend to think that you have to be an SAP or a Google or Amazon to innovate, but basically, you know, we all can lead from where we stand. And I love this example of Daniel Ndima and Dineo Lima, who have created a South African innovation around testing, right? They've created a test kit where you can see the results within 65 minutes, right? And this is such a great step in terms of making sure that we get more people tested. This is obviously one of the important steps in terms of managing the virus, to test people. And they've created a way to test people quickly and more cheaply, right? And these are ordinary South Africans. It's not someone sitting in New York or London in a tower. These are ordinary people that look like us. And the point here is that all of us have that ability to innovate, have that ability to use our skills in order to find solutions. And there are ways to do that. So, for example, there are many hackathons and code jams that are happening virtually. You saw the example of the GirlCode hack that happened. There are many others that are happening as well that can help to channel our innovative thinking, right? So there's Code the Curve, one example, which is a partnership between UNESCO, IBM, and SAP. And then the other one is Reboot the Earth, which is led by the United Nations. But the point here is that there are structures and programs in place that can help you to shape your innovation capability, thinking, as well as, for example, providing necessary resources like mentors, as well as access to skills. And then in terms of stay skilled, ladies, I don't know if we have gentlemen, but yes, go coders, stay skilled, right? In this age of fast change, obviously we're in the fourth industrial revolution, and with all that comes with it in terms of the jobs, the careers, the opportunities, coronavirus is only elevating that even a step further. The World Economic Forum said that 90% of careers in the next 10 years or so are going to be tech related. I'm even going to say that today, in the next few days, next few months, 100% of jobs will have a tech element to them. So we need to make sure that we are able to understand where our skill set is right now, to be able to see for your industry what is coming in terms of coronavirus, what are the challenges, or what are the innovations that are coming, what are the needs that are arising, and then do a gap analysis in terms of the skills that you have now versus where you need to be, and then find those skills, right? So there's a list of skills here. You can take a photo of it. Forbes has proposed these as the skills that are needed to mitigate or to be productive and resourceful within a corona world, right? I'll only highlight two. So the first one is flexibility and adaptability, right? And that's really important because we are in such uncertain times that we need to be able to pivot and shift as needed to meet the circumstances of the day. And then, of course, being tech savvy and having coding and digital skills. So, for example, continuity of business, right? We need to have digital presence in business, and a lot of organizations, or even in your own company, will need to be able to be digital to survive your business in situations where, for example, we have to distance ourselves from a physical perspective. I've listed a few online resources there, and the key message here is, we need to take the ship or the bull by the horns, right? And drive our own careers and take the initiative and be proactive. There are many free resources available that can empower and enable you to find the skills that you need. And I think throughout the day, a few of the sessions will give more detail in terms of the skill set that are needed. But here, what I'm encouraging you to do is to take the bull by the horns and to lead, right? Lead your development, lead your enablement, and as well as leading that of the community, right? We're relying on you. And then lastly, I just want to mention this topic about remaining connected. So right now in these times of crisis, we need each other more than ever as humans, right? And whilst we social distance or physical distance, we have to find a way to maintain our social connectedness. And this is important for our emotional well-being, our even relates to our physical well-being, but also allows us to find opportunity to collaborate with such big challenges. We need different people, different organizations coming together, bringing together collective effort. And so I encourage everyone to stay connected. In terms of, for example, mentors, this is a great time to connect with your mentors as well in terms of your thinking, right? And, ask them for advice, seek their advice, and have those sounding boards in terms of how to progress and to make yourself prepared and relevant within this COVID-19 world. And, lastly, I would say, start now, act now, be brave, prepare now for today and tomorrow, and to realize that, this is our chance to take the lead as women and girls, as young people, in shaping the new world that we seek to live in. Thank you.